Okay, well, I don't know whether anybody can actually hear me or how this is working, but basically I'm just going to do a quick video on my particular Necromancer build. I've leaned full into the summons. I should probably leave this dungeon so I show you some of the other stuff. I'm going to get punished for standing around in here. No, I'm not. Okay. Basic build. Skill tree. I'm leaning in as much as I can into the summon damage, sort of as a theme. So this isn't a hugely SLS going to mow down everything God build, but it's working for me. Basically using Decompose as my basic skill. I know that Reap will be better for corpse generation early, but I'm essentially running it for the you and your minions deal 10% increased damage to enemies who are being decomposed. Also, Decompose will work through walls. Provided you can click on the target, it will attack this. It will go through it. It's going to be very good for getting your summons to engage an enemy or a group. Running Blight for the suck-in aspect, vacuuming, the dot, and the you and your minions deal 15% increased damage to enemies within the Blight. Once again, leaning into the slow isn't bad, but basically the minion damage. Basically, as many passives. This leads very heavily into the passives, this build. I have Corpse Explosion, but it's not on my bar. I personally just have this intense dislike of the skill. Dating back to Diablo 2, I recognize the skill is frankly quite awesome. Would probably be a big damage buff if I was using it. I can't bring myself to do it. I'm sorry. Only one rank out of Death's Embrace, basically just because I couldn't afford any more. Skeletal Mage Mastery, damage and life of mages, obviously. Corpse Tendrils for vulnerable and sucking into the group, works with the Blight, lets them, means my summons aren't scattered everywhere and lets them get some damage into it. Necrotic Carapace, basically for the Fortify. It helps. I don't have any tanking cooldowns or survival cooldowns on this build. I've recently changed over to Bone Storm as the ultimate rather than Raining Undead Men. So I guess I do technically have a cooldown now, but that's a new thing. All the shadow buffs, chances to stun on lucky hits, the Terror, Gloom, Reaper's Pursuit. I don't think Reaper's Pursuit procs off my skeletons damaging stuff with Darkness. It would be nice if it did, but alas. Golem Mastery, obviously the Bone Storm ultimate, every cooldown here, every passive here. Now I was running Army of the Dead specifically for, also raises your Skeletal Warriors and Skeletal Mages. If something went wrong badly and I lost a couple of Ice Mages, happened when I was lower levels on world bosses, and it tends to still happen occasionally if I get a group of packs where you've got the frozen aspect, frozen, chilled, whichever, where they basically walk up, hit you once and you freeze, and then they hit you again and you die. And of course, I'm actually running Kalen's Edict. Now, I know everybody, well, a lot of the people are saying this is useless because you get damaged, you're not going to stay alive and not take any damage in the last 2 seconds. That's for builds that are actually getting in there. I'm not. I'm sitting back. My summons are doing running interference as much as possible. I actually spend a lot of time not having taken damage in the last 2 seconds. In that situation, my minions are gaining 30% attack speed. This is not negligible. I know that Shadow Blight is more popular with the Shadow builds. Well, I just didn't go that way really. And since apparently the Shadow Mages, Skeletal Mages, are not proccing Frostblight, not proccing Shadow Blight either, I believe that's a bug, but that's the way it is. For the Paragon tree, pretty standard first board through Skeletal Mage damage into the first board, picking up a fair bit of 184% Skeletal Mage damage there. Second board, I'm running Flesh Eater. I've pretty much gone for the legendary node in everything. Glyphed the Skeletal Warriors in for there. Picked up some extra damage to injured enemies. Third board, once again Cult Leader. Glyphed it with Dead Razor for the damage reduction for my minions and minion damage. Also picked up the 2 nodes inside. Once again, big minion buffs. Puppeteer for some minion damage and minion attack speed. Infused Warrior for Skeletal Warrior damage. Infused Caster for Skeletal Mage damage. Now I'm only running 4 boards because I've picked up all the legendary nodes and a fair few rares. I'm not getting extra, don't have the space for more boards basically. Hulking Monstrosity board for the last one with the control for the damage to crowd controlled enemies. It's also giving me more Golem armor, damage to crowd controlled enemies. The Golem armor is a bit meh. Originally I thought my Golems would be tough to survive. I think my Golems died 3 times in the time I've played the game, and twice that was when it got dropped off a cliff by Lilith. Of course then, Golem damage is a must. Teched over to damage while Golems are active. Picked up the Hulking Monstrosity for the maximum damage, more than the maximum life. And currently picking up Golem damage. That's the build as it were. On the board, Raised Skeleton, Bone Storm, Corpse Tendrils, Golem, Decompose, Blight. Now a lot of people have been very iffy on keeping the minions alive and instead just resummoning them. I'm actually against that, quite frankly. The Bonded in essence, healing 60% of their maximum life every 5 seconds as opposed to 10 makes a big difference to minion survival. Combine it with the Death's Defense, so they can't take more than 30% of their maximum life. My minions are up most of the time. I very rarely lose minions. What this means is that the extra 20% damage from the Skeletal Priest is actually quite useful and important. Combine that aspect-wise with the standard bonus skeletons, Blight having that vacuum effect in for CC and grouping stuff up. I'm using, because I'm not getting into the fight that often, I'm able to stand still a fair amount. So we have Inner Calm is actually quite a useful damage aspect, especially since it seems to actually feed through onto the damage my skeletons do. Quite a fair amount. I'm not sure if I'm getting the full amount, but definitely feels like I'm getting more than that 1/3, the 30% that the skeletons should normally do. That's only anecdotal. I don't have numbers to back that up basically. That's just what it feels like. Because I don't have any cooldowns for safety, this is my oh no I got hit I live aspect. Don't have any fast run boots on that. It's just running my extra skeletal warriors. Each time one of my summoning minions damages, I get faster attack speed. A lot of people are putting this on amulets, so that up to 42 would be up to 63% damage. I'm actually running instead all my skeletons gain increased damage while alive after 10 seconds. I could probably swap that around, but yeah, it is what it is. This is additive, but it's attack speed, so yeah, and this is multiplicative 45%. It's a summon build. I'm running the Ring of Mendelin. I know some people will say the Ring of Mendelin's not a summon item, it's a Ring of Mendelin build item. Yeah, tough cookies, really. Those same people tend to run as much bonuses for themselves as well, so whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Ring of Umbral is basically just complete fuel when you're running Blight. Its base hit slows things. If I'm hitting more than 3 things, I can cast Blight indefinitely. I'm running the shield. Once again, I don't have any defensive cooldowns. When the block comes off, it saved my life a few times. It's starting to scale out. I'm really noticing that the shield was very useful up to about level 80, 85, and now I'd probably be better with a focus in there. But once again, I have the 7 or more minions, 20% damage reduction. This is one of the reasons as well I think why my minions are surviving so well. My build has made sure to pick up at least a couple of the maximum minion life items. Once again, I've got about 100% minion plus 100% minion life. It helps. It's one of the reasons why my minions are tough as hell. Actually, I got 209% minion life bonus between Paragon points and items. plus some extra warrior, mage and golem life bonuses. This seriously helps. Bit of warrior armor, golem armor. Okay, that's basically the build. I've got too much wisdom on my gear. I know that. I need to fix that. This is a level 49 dungeon. We have monsters and raging them. This is actually one of the things that doesn't tend to mess me up as much as it does a lot of others, because it's all on my summons. Extra time, physical damage as shadow. Yeah, they take 40% less lightning damage. I'm not casting any of that. And they have a 50% chance to slime me. That's a little bit annoying, but I guess I'll live. Any random bonus consumable. And away we go. Let's hope I don't have a brain fart and screw this up like I did yesterday. And let's hope that the recording process doesn't severely hamper my frame rate like it did yesterday. I tried to do this yesterday and I was getting down to like single-digit frames. One thing you will notice, I've got a couple of mages stuck up here. It's not uncommon in confined quarters for one or two of your summons to just be a little bit slow on the engage. As you see, these are 103 monsters. I'm at 95, 96 now, Necromancer. I'm deliberately not casting Blight here just so you can see how fast the summons are tearing stuff apart. Of course, they would actually be doing more damage if the monsters were standing in the Blight, but it's a bit hard to differentiate that from the Blight. I'm decomposing because decompose does practically no damage, but it also makes monsters take more damage from my summons. Unfortunately, a lot of the way the combat is done with this is through doors like that. Because you're not getting in there and engaging, you're often just seeing numbers pop up on the other side of walls. I'm probably going to be a bit quiet for a while on chatting this. You can just watch me play. Get the ring of mandolin procced in there. I told him to do that a while ago, the slam. Oh well. My initiators often either decompose to send the skeletons in or blight, or just I'll send the golem in, get the initial stun, get a generated corpse or a bit of a pop the corpse tendrils, and off we go. One of the reasons why I don't tend to chain cast blight that often on trash packs is because blight's got the suck in, which is great. The downside is the way it sucks in is really bad. It tends to, as you can see, pulls groups towards you. They get sucked towards the middle, then you hit them again, they get sucked towards the middle. I don't like having monsters that close in to me. I have no survival cooldowns, it's dangerous. It's fine on bigger bosses, if I'm pretty sure the pack is not going to survive getting pulled into me, or if I'm trying to interrupt something. Or if I'm just trying to group a bunch of things up. Summons in general do a pretty decent job of running interference for you, but they're not perfect, so you do have to still be aware what's happening. Don't get too distracted talking to your recording and not realise that something's right through the pack and it's wailing away on you. Because things don't actually target the summons that much, but they do tend to just run interference as if they were blockers for an NRL team. They're just literally body blocking for you. The Reapers, because they generate corpses, also their basic attack is a cleave. Their special attack is penetrative line. So once you're into dealing damage to groups, they're really the way to go. Okay, now here's where I've noticed something that's going to be fun. My personal nemesis is suppressor mobs. Because, well, see my mages? Oops, wasn't paying attention. I really was not paying attention. I was too busy talking to you guys and screwing up. Okay, this is the reason why I used to run Raised Dead, because in this situation the Necromancer can't get his army back until he gets down there. And guess what? Well, often can't get his army back, especially if he's entering into a room that's locked. Because there's a limited number of corpses that can exist at once, I can get some of my melees back. Whereas alternatively I can drop my ultimate, wait another minute for my ultimate to be ready again, and have my army back. This occasion I'm a bit lucky. Now let's actually dodge the spells that are coming towards me.
I'm not ready yet.
In this situation I would like to be using Inner Calm, but I really can't. Because I have to be avoiding the wind walls, and this guy does his attack that just chains through everything. So I'm just going to have to let my skeletons get in there, now that I've actually managed to get them in there, and do what damage they can on him for a while. Plus side, while he's vampiric, vampiric doesn't seem to work against skeletons. This is the slowest way to kill a boss. They're not getting any bonus damage from me. I'm not casting the corpses to give them the 20%, but I'm staying alive. Blight procs the ring. The ring goes, woohoo, lots of damage. Something tapped me, didn't even see what. Downside of not having survival cooldowns. Especially with the slow. It's actually going to be a bit harder than I thought it was. Didn't spot the slow one when I picked this dungeon. I don't normally pick it as an option. These guys want to be rescued. Quite frankly, no, stuff them. They got in here on their own, they can get out on their own. If I hadn't died once, I'd probably do them, but having died to my own carelessness, I'm not going to risk failing a dungeon. I can always come back and do it later. I just don't want to. Yeah, you saw I didn't really cast anything there. They just went a bit nuts after the corpse temple was procced. I was watching another video by someone the other day who did some searching on the experimenting on how minions work. According to his video, they do get the 1/3 from everything, which works with my personal experiences. But they get full value on damage to vulnerable and full damage on bonus crit damage. They only get 1/3 of the chance, but they get full on the bonus crit damage. I wasn't aware of that, but it sort of tends to mesh with what I've heard. Can't stand in the CC, it slows me. Where's my golem? You can get some bonus damage down there. Now, Aura Buddy is a problem. Normally try and get those out as early as I can. Sometimes I just can't. The bonus of running the minion build is I get to stand back here in safety occasionally and just let my guys go ham around the corner. And it's going to be one of those days for suppressors. It's stealth guys. Once again, I have no defensive cooldowns. And I'm getting slowed by everything else, so this is going to be bad. It's slowing me, was not anticipating this. Golem buddy, come save my life. I really hate suppressors. And that corpse that I wanted to use went away. This, I hate this problem with the Necromancers at the moment. Corpses just vanish when you're about to use them, often right when they would save your life. This is not a fight I want to be involved in.
I'm not ready yet.
Having a suppressor just makes everything work really badly. So my mages do no damage. Everything else just doesn't want to group up. Everything else having bonus damage on it. Bonus HP, sorry. Just makes for a slow ass fight. Of course, the one dungeon I had to choose to do this demonstration video, everything's going to be a suppressor, isn't it? Everything's my kryptonite. Of course, this is a level 49 dungeon. I've done up to about 55s with this particular character. Normally I can blend through the mid 40s pretty fast. This one's running a bit slower than usual. I cannot remember this dungeon off the top of my head with the layout, so it's probably going to be a bit slower to find the keepers. If I could remember the dungeon, I'd probably have actually finished it by now. You see, they're not doing bad damage. They're not fantastic, but they're not bad. Binders, not with them being slowed by everything. Didn't even spot that this was a Hellbinder guy.
Lack the required essence.
Let's just see. And they bind him. Hellbinder is so rare, I rarely actually even consider it as a possibility of coming up against it. This is my personal flaw, but hey, that's me. Suppressors are my usual, oh god, this sucks. Not having a defensive cooldown or a way of getting unstoppable or something similar. Hellbinders could probably even be worse for me. Of course I could, if I remember correctly, there's a boot enchantment that could fix that for me. But I probably have to drop my generator shield one, which has saved me multiple times. I do get hit on this build occasionally still. I have to use my health potions, but I very rarely wind up having to use health potions faster than they're dropping from mobs. I don't have any blood orb generation from this Necromancer build. Probably do it on the corpse tendrils, but I prefer the slowing down things much better. Give me a call from corpse tendrils. So the I could do blood orbs. I could do the making vulnerable. Vulnerable for the win. Vulnerable is basically the biggest damage multiplier in the game. So let's just take advantage of that. Between the golem
I need more time.
and the corpse tendrils, they can basically get 6 seconds of vulnerable and a big ass group pull. Must be a shrine cap around somewhere that I missed. Wonder where that was. Wherever it was, I missed it.
I need more
Other thing is defensively, I can always just tell my golem to come over and slam near me. And stand such that the please slam him. Just stop making everything else take less damage.
I need more time.
Of course, the other thing with the golem slam combo is you suck everything in and tell things to slam there. Fire a blight into the general area where that was. So if I'm sounding like I'm rambling a little bit, I'm basically just trying to fill up the airtime while I'm playing, so you guys can see what I'm doing without having to listen to a whole bunch of dead air. This is my first ever video I've made. If you happen to like it, congratulations, if it gives you some inspiration for a build, or you feel like you want to enjoy this playstyle. If you don't, well, you haven't lost anything by watching a few seconds of this. We have the key. Off to the boss room. Now watch, this is going to prove me wrong just because I'm filming it, but in general, this build will struggle a lot more with complicated packs, with affixes on mobs, rather than bosses. In general, I can sort of just stand there, let the pack go nuts on the boss, and while I do a little bit of avoiding damage and adding some buffs to them. Bosses tend to have trouble just getting around the pack to get to me, or the pack will run interference on shots coming from the boss and abilities. There are one or two bosses that are a little bit harder than most, but in general that's how it tends to go. Of course, if something does go wrong, like I said, I have no real defensive cooldowns, so if I get nailed, I get nailed and that's it. I've got myself my 3 resurrections still, and unlike regular mobs, if a boss kills me, at least I get the get my summons back instantly.
I need more essence.
5, so get bonus damage for 5 seconds. That's the boss. As you can see, bosses are easy. I forgot to mention my glyphs. I have my first glyph at 20, Dead Razor at 16, Controllers at 15. So the glyph that's at 21 already is the Skeletal Mage's damage. Also at 21, I believe I have my Skeletal Warrior damage. Working on this one, Dead Razor. And then I'll be working on damage to crowd controlled enemies. Now, I did get them all to 15 first before maxing them, because that way I get the bonus area, which is sort of important. I've seen other builds where they have an additional board on here. My originally planned build would have had another board to get another glyph. I looked at it and figured it wasn't worth it when I can start getting a few more 50% damage to injured enemies. It would have been great if I was going a Bone Spear build or something else like that, but I really just wanted to lean into the summons, get them to do as much damage and run interference for me as much as possible, make them survivable, and basically go ham. The one thing I didn't mention is my Skeletal Reapers are generating corpses for me, 15% chance to carve the flesh off the enemy. This is handy for it, since as soon as I get in there, at least one of them will tend to proc that. There tends to be a corpse very fast, even if I'm not decomposing something. And of course, since it's coming off the enemies, it tends to spawn where they are. I considered going the reducing the cooldown of their powerful wind-up attack. But quite frankly, they're casting it off enough enemy in a way that might drop it from 10 seconds to once every 6.5 to 7 seconds. It just didn't seem worth it. Having the corpses constantly available, being generated where the fight is, especially if the fight is moving, rather than having a couple of them sitting up the back, felt like it was more useful. Mages, shadow mages, I really did consider the chance to stun for quite a while, but since there's only a 10% chance and can't happen more than once every 5 seconds on the same enemy, group packs didn't really seem to matter if one was getting stunned. While I'd get the 2 seconds out of every 5 for if all 4 mages were packed onto something and shooting quickly, but it didn't seem to matter that much, really. I wasn't noticing it, so I just went for the extra 20% damage, getting an additional Shadow Bolt. Finally, golems. I considered the taunt from the bone golem, plus also the generating a corpse, but with the reapers I didn't want the generating a corpse. And thorns, you need to do a dedicated thorns build. I didn't really want to do just a half-assed that. And the taunt from the golem, the mobs go straight back to whoever they were targeting originally after the taunt wears off. I also considered the blood golem for the damage reduction since they don't have any cooldowns. But while it's probably better pure damage from the golem itself, the vulnerable for 3 seconds and the stun from the iron golem is probably enabling more damage from the group as a whole, my summons as a whole. Once again, this would have been more damage from the golem itself, but that once again. I also considered the golem shockwave for the iron golem, but honestly vulnerable is just still too king. You can't go past vulnerable. Really, you just can't. And I've got Blight, I've got the Ring of Mendelin, I've got the Reapers doing cleaves, a bit of extra shockwave damage going through. It wasn't going to make much of a difference. Obviously, since I'm doing a summon build, I'm not going to pick any of the sacrifices. Anyway, my name is Just a Guy, not to be mistaken with the other famous YouTuber, Just Some Guy. I've been using the name since 2000, so I'll say dibs on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was helpful to you in some way, shape or form. If not, then, well, sucks for you. Anyway, I'm one of the older gamers, have been born in 76, so I've been doing this for a while. I'm not hardcore about it anymore, and I'm just here to have some fun. Just the Guy signing off. Peace out.